Speaker, Deputy, thank you for this opportunity. As the member for South and Central, Andros, spoke, someone passed me a message for him, but I wanted to verify first. So I'm happy to inform the country that Mr. Shane Gibson is a free man. We are grateful that the justice system works. We wish him and his family well, and we'll be praying for him. I know that the leader will have more to say on the subject. Mr. Speaker, I happily speak on behalf of the people of Exuma and Ragged Island. I rise today to contribute to this bill, and I want to inform that the people of Exuma and Ragged Island will not be happy with me if I voted for increasing light bills at this time. All I heard today, Mr. Speaker, was an admission of failure as it relates to BPL. There's a lot of talk and smoke and mirrors about the previous rate reduction bond, a lot of talk about the PLP. This government is a master of distraction. It's now tired. It's tired, and people see it for what it is, distraction by a lost administration that accept blame for nothing. The public can see through it, and they've experienced a summer of blackouts and an ever-shifting narrative of what others did, all wrapped up in a blanket of unaccountability. There is no one in this House who should be under any illusion that the public reposes any more trust in this government on this issue. There's no trust left in this board, no trust left in this cabinet to speak on this issue. The Bahamian people don't believe much that you say. So when you go off with all your distractions, the good news is Bahamian people ain't listening to you no more. Nothing said can be taken for what it is, because nothing said ever materializes as it's forecasted by this administration. So here's what I heard today. One, there's new borrowings, $650 million for BPL. Two, there's a new tax on the Bahamian people who are consumers at BPL to pay it off. And three, light bills are going up. And yeah, they also try to make you believe that this F&M cares about the people. Well, cry me a river. And I'm delighted, Mr. Speaker, that the member for Kalani agrees that this is a tax. He said on the 24th of November in 2015, consumers are already paying VAT on electricity. They're paying VAT tax and everything. And now we are going to have another tax, a bond reduction rate tax. I don't care if you call it a fee, whatever you want to call it, it's a tax.
Remember your.
I will lay it, Mr. Speaker. The Tribune, November 24th, 2015. And then the member for Carmichael said.
Give me the date again, Exumas. You said you're gonna table it. What was the dates again, please?
November 24th, 2015. I'll lay it when I'm done for you.
Which newspaper?
The Tribune.
Carry on.
Thank you for giving me my time back for that intervention, Speaker.
Carry on, smart.
And then the minister today, the member for Carmichael, in his presentation on page 16, he said, it must be imposed on all customers in accordance with the legislation, regardless of the financial condition of the utility company. He didn't say it would be optional. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, call it what you wish. This government
Chair recognizes the member for Kalani. Sorry for Carmichael. Sorry.
Speaker, I indicated that the legislation that members opposite us requires it to be imposed on every person. That's the point that I made. And it's important. It's important.
This is different. This one is different.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker. You sure? This is a mandatory fee, if you choose to call it that. It's a tax, Mr. Speaker. So let's just agree on that. Let's get that out of the way. Mr. Speaker.
Is your view that the tax?
My view, Mr. Speaker. I'm expressing my views, you know. I have 30 minutes to do so. I appreciate it. Page 16. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a tax, in my view, and borrowing on the backs of the Bahamian people. It's an ill-timed move. If the VAT hikes were not enough, the billions been borrowed. On top of the $500 million to be borrowed in the pipeline, the BPL bond will be the cherry on the top. So back then in 2015, VAT was 7.5%. You increased it by 60%. And then you now add this mandatory fee on the top. Mr. Speaker, I pointed out in the budget debate, and the member for Carmichael would recall, I pointed out in the budget debate that there was no mention of the impact of this rate reduction bond. The minister responsible said he didn't have time during the debate, despite 2 hours on the floor he had, to discuss this most important matter. You could have explained it then, but you didn't. Because as is the case now, there was never a plan. But yet this minister signs on to the whims of the board, even though they steamroll the Bahamian people. We could have had some time to deal with this transparently, but no. Not until now, when Bahamians are still reeling after suffering through a hurricane, that you bothered to tell the public that they're expected to pay for this. You wait until after you come to this house to say you're going to borrow $500 million, that you then tell them that you also have this mandatory fee, aka tax, that the Bahamian people are going to have to pay. You wait until you tell the Bahamian people that the economy is forecasted to shrink. You wait until then, and then you tell them you're going to put a tax on them. You wait until you tell them that unemployment is likely to go up, and even when you're unemployed, you still got to pay your bill, but then you put a tax on them.
That sounds like VAT. You don't put it on us.
Ill-timed.
Yes. Every tax is ill-timed.
Ill-conceived.
Everyone.
You wait until then, and then you do this to the Bahamian people. When their backs are against the wall. You hit them hard. You wait until mere weeks before the current bond expires. And then you go negotiate under pressure. And then you come. You said the bonds were expiring, the existing debt were maturing in December. You could speak to it. You could speak to it. Before you come, Mr. Speaker, with legislation for new building codes, before another hurricane season is upon us, before you implement Abaco and Grand Bahama as VAT-free zones, you come and you do this. It's disgraceful, Mr. Speaker. You made no mention of the rate reduction bond in your fiscal strategy report and its potential impact on the economy or the cost of living. Yet you put this on the Bahamian people without so much as by your leave, Mr. Speaker. Little public education, little public disclosure. BPL has yet to say before today what the details are of the 350. The minister gave a brief snapshot today of a spreadsheet, but no timelines. We want to hold you accountable. We have to hear it from the minister in wild contradictions to much that has been said before by the chairman of his board. The Bahamian people are being asked not only to settle BPL's legacy debt as the previous rate reduction bond was designed to do, but the Bahamian people are being asked to recapitalize BPL's new generation facility. So we asked, did you go to RFP? Do you have a plan? What about this new Wärtsilä plant? We will hold you accountable. When was the deal struck with Wärtsilä for the new plant? Has the government already ordered the new generation facilities? Did the Minister of Finance not stand in this very same room and say that the money has already been allocated to repair the electricity grid in Abaco and Grand Bahama from the IDB loan allocation? The Bahamian people must pay without their approval, void of any accountability, while the rich get tax breaks. One letter to the Minister of Finance gets him to roll back taxes on the residents of Life at Key, whilst the poor get steamrolled. One cry from big business, in particular, the largest grocery chain in the country. They got tax breaks when the business license fees were restructured. But I asked the poor and the middle class if they've seen the savings passed on. So the rich get tax breaks, the poor get steamrolled. Millions in tax revenue given up to big business, but now Bahamians hurting, they must pay. Is the government under illusion that business will not pass this on to their consumers? Tell me how that worked out before on the clothing exemption. Tell me how it worked out with the VAT breaks on breadbasket items. This is a government that spent a year, 1 year, trying to figure out how to firepower secure, scrounging for reasons to terminate that agreement when electricity prices and power outages had begun to stabilize. I carry no brief for Power Secure. Carry no brief for them. But at least they had a plan. They had a plan, Elizabeth. Power Secure had a plan. They had a plan. But you come today to borrow $650 million and you don't lay a plan on the table. No plan. No accountability. No transparency. Mr. Speaker, you're making it up as you go along. But you want the Bahamian people to trust you and allow you to borrow $650 million. That's what you want. Where is the plan of this current board to ensure more affordable, more reliable,
no plan,
and cleaner energy?
Yes. No plan.
We got a list of expenses by the minister today. And I don't know if we are to believe that in the absence of a plan, on August 17, 2018, the Minister of Works sat in the Cabinet office. Minister of Works sat outside the Cabinet that their number one priority of the new BPL board was to finalize the Memorandum of Understanding with Shell. Today, I don't know if he said Shell once. The MOU with Shell was signed in November 2018
Members.
by this administration's board, this government. Shell was supposed to build 220 megawatts of generation from an LNG plant at no cost to the Bahamian people. Now the Bahamian people must pay. And without any mention of Shell by the minister today. Nothing. Making it up as we go along. Are we all to forget what was said and what took place? Where has the new board and this government demonstrated the competence with regard to the running of BPL? Where's the accountability of the administration? Why should we believe anything they say? A fire at Clifton plant took place last September, destroying a massive generating facility. crippling another massive generator. The report on the fire was not tabled till over a year later. The report was finished in March. It was tabled maybe this month, perhaps last month. They say it was operator error. That's what the report said.
Special plan.
Was any discipline meted out to the operator? Was any operator held accountable?
The operator was directed.
Surely the CEO, who is still there, was not. Surely the board that is still there was not. Surely the minister was not. Because we know he would make a good AG. But the minister was not. He's still the minister of works. Surely this government
Good AG, eh?
was not. There's not no consequences yet, but they will. There was a fire in Bimini. We have not heard anything about it. There was no report. Was anyone held accountable? Was any of these incidents tied to the recent offering of separation packages of senior staff in that ill-fated VSEP program? How do we trust a company with $650 million that can hardly prepare for the aftermath of a VSEP? Who can have confidence in such poor decision-making? This government we cannot trust on this BPL issue. The Minister administration was the latest F&M administration to bring BPL into public disrepute. The nasty public spot at the firing of the board, the allegations, the counter-allegations which brought BPL credibility into question, the minister being sued, F&Ms fighting F&Ms. It pains my heart when I see that.
Chair, I recognize this the member for Carmichael. I don't know why I keep calling you Kalani. Sorry.
Speaker, Exuma, I don't like.
Order. Members, please. Let's hear Carmichael, please.
Speaker, I really don't like to interrupt Exuma because I like to listen to him speak, and I sincerely don't. But when you speak about something that is in contention before the courts in Parliament, that causes a challenge, and I'd be grateful if you wouldn't do that. Thank you.
I appreciate and respect the legal advice of the member of Carmichael, but I will not go there. But I will simply say this: the Bahamian people will be asked to pay for many of these incidences and mistakes, and the word he likes, incompetence of this administration government. He said it 10 times today.
I don't say that, man.
Mr. Speaker, I am submitting that the scandals that has impacted BPL will create some difficulty for this company in the marketplace. It will impact the ability to borrow. It will impact the cost of borrowing. I know the international financial markets. I'm familiar with Wall Street. They don't like scandals. They see a lack of confidence and credibility and consider carefully how big a risk when they are about to offer financing. You think they ain't gonna use Google? I know Elizabeth and Exuma uses Google all the time. What do you think will pop up? Crisis, failure, lawsuit, board fired, incompetence. You would think, given the billions the opposite side has borrowed in 2 years, they would be familiar with how the markets work. The 5 C's of credit: character, capacity, capital, conditions, and collateral. Lenders use these all together to evaluate credit worthiness. Mr. Speaker, so if BPL is showing foreign investors a business plan, would it be so kind to show that business plan to the Bahamian people? Would it be so kind to bring that to the House Assembly, the board of directors of the Bahamian people? You must have an investment-grade business plan if you go in to raise money in the international market. You must have a prospectus. Would you be so kind as to share it with the Bahamian people? Lay it on the table. You claim that you're the government of transparency. Let us know what we're dealing with. Mr. Speaker. And then the minister says, oh, light bills will go up $20 to $30 per month. Is it for the person paying $100? Well, 30 would be 30%. 20 would be 20%. Too simplistic. We want to know how it's going to be determined, Mr. Speaker. That's what we want to know. Because we don't know the terms of the borrowing. We don't know the rate of the borrowing. We don't know the rating of the bonds. So we don't know what the increase is going to be. So the minister comes and says $20 to $30. Well, 1% of 650 million is 6.5 million a Freetown. And we don't know whether it's going to be 2%. We don't know whether it's going to be 8%. But I tell you, my estimate is that light bills will increase by 15% to 23% as a result of this move, based on the information that I have. Now, when the minister provides me with the business plan and the prospectus and the details on the borrowing, I'll be happy to come back and revise that estimate. But that is what I expect will be inflicted upon the Bahamian people. And let's not forget, your administration increased VAT by 60%. So in 2015, when this idea was introduced, in 2015, VAT was 7.5%. You increased it by 60%. You borrowed billions of dollars. You got $500 million to borrow. Now you're going to borrow another $650 million. On top of the 60% increase in VAT. That's what you're doing to the Bahamian people. Then you come here with some simplistic explanation.
Hey, members, order. Members, please. Let's hear Exumus, please.
Thank you.
Calm down. Yeah, I'm watching it, Exum. I'm watching it.
Thank you. And it's mandatory we pay, whether we like it or not. And why should we pay it when we are unclear on how BPL procures its equipment or its fuel? Why should we pay it unless we have more details? Why should we pay for the inefficiencies, their mistakes, and their incompetence? Why should the Bahamian people have paid for this? With no accountability to anybody else. And then you come to us and you ask us to pay with a mandatory fee, a tax. Mr. Speaker, in 2015, VAT was 7.5%. You increased it by 60%. And then you come back and you want another 15 to 23% in my estimation on top of the 60% increase that you've levied upon the Bahamian people with your increase in VAT. Mr. Speaker, since we see no plans, we had no plans, we see no plans, we don't know what the end game is. We don't know whether the goal is achievable. They say it's a rate reduction bond. We don't know how the rate's going to reduce. There's no targets as to how the rates are going to reduce. There's none. And they say this rate increase can only last for 10 months, but
you can't believe that.
You can't keep the lights on. Why should we believe you? In the absence of a plan. Show us your plan, show us your studies, show us how you're going to reduce the electricity bills before you come to rely on the good graces of the Bahamian people to take another $650 million on their backs. This is an affront to the Bahamian people. At least explain it to them. Explain it to them. We are told that Shell is still in the mix, but we don't know how. The fire for which no one was held accountable. We haven't been told about the GE. And we don't know how Wärtsilä was determined. We got too many questions. The member for Kalani, who agrees with me that this is a tax upon the Bahamian people, talked about retiring the rentals. But we're doubtful about that too. We don't know how you're going to retire the rentals because you haven't explained it in detail to the Bahamian people. You're bringing on new capacity. You're bringing on new capacity. But is it adequate to meet the peak demands? The issues surrounding keeping the lights on, you got to speak to availability, you got to speak to reliability, and you got to speak to efficiency. And we have not heard those explanations today, Mr. Speaker. Perhaps, Mr. Speaker, in the absence of a tangible plan, I suspect the government and the board of BPL will continue to make it up as they go along. They talked about solar in the Family Islands, Mr. Speaker. We still haven't heard, Mr. Speaker. Let's talk with the people at BPL. You brought in Wärtsilä for new generation. But these engines are apparently too good for the staff of BPL to work on. So Wärtsilä gets to hire. Wärtsilä gets to hire their own employees.
No, we've been running it for years, right?
Now, if you tell me they're hiring Bahamians who know about running machines, who you think they're gonna hire? Well, they're gonna hire the best
You're making up noise for power.
and the brightest of BPL.
What happened to power secure?
They're gonna hire the best and the brightest of BPL.
What about power secure?
And then who is going to be left? Who is going to be left to maintain
You don't keep doing the same.
and repair
Expect a different result.
the legacy BPL systems? Mr. Speaker,
Legacy now?
there's so many questions. You know what I'll do, Mr. Speaker?
Speak, man.
Under notices,
Yes.
I'm going to list the 40 questions that I have on this issue. I will share them with the Minister for Works, the member for Carmichael, because I believe the Bahamian people will not take lightly to this new task. At least you could do is explain it to them.
Okay.
Tell them why you're doing it.
Okay.
Tell them how you're going to get them out of this quagmire.
Okay.
Because at least the other people had a plan.
Okay.
It didn't work for Harbour Island.
This administration
It didn't work for Harbour Island.
comes,
It didn't work for Harbour
they
Island.
make it up as they go along.
And they drove it into
They firepower secure, which is a part of the plan.
Order, members, order,
They
order.
pick the pieces of the plan they like. And now we have a mishmash.
We're telling you hold the water.
They talked about the different companies who already, 5 I believe, different types of machines. So now we got to add Wärtsilä to the picture. No plan. It's a mishmash. It's symptomatic of this government.
Okay.
No plan.
You need to have the behavior people. Have the behavior
No vision.
people.
No care for the Bahamian people. But yet you will say, yeah, we're doing this to you, Bahamian people, because we care about you. I believe it was Kalani who said that. I almost wanted to shed a tear, Mr. Speaker. But the Bahamian people
What's your plan?
are sick and tired of having to carry the load and still having to suffer blackouts, inefficiencies, and high light bills, Mr. Speaker. We have no details on the LNG plant. We have no details as to how you're going to make this more reliable. We got no details as to how you're going to retire the rental generation facility. And we had nothing. We had nothing about the pension plan. The minister didn't list the pension liabilities or the pension amounts in his spreadsheet, right? The unfunded amounts reminds me of BTC. They did a bad deal with BTC like this government tends to do, much like they did with Oban, much like they did with the Grand Lucayan Resort. Government of bad deals. F&M administration, bad deals. You see that picture if you look for bad deals in the dictionary. The BTC unfunded, now 160 million. We go down this road again. And we come to the Bahamian people for $650 million. We provide no solution to this problem that's going to continue to grow. So, Mr. Speaker, I want this government, and I'm wrapping up now, Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful. I want this government to articulate its policy on renewable energy 2030, 2040, 2050. And I don't want no sound bites. I want a cogent plan, because that's what the Bahamian people expect. And you know, the Bahamian people have no more confidence in this government. I think it'll be up to the next PLP administration to do more than just pay lip service to these issues. To do more than just pay lip service to the issue of climate change. How embarrassing we go to the United Nations and we beg the world to do better, yet we continue to burn dirty fuel. It'll be left to the PLP to create entrepreneurial opportunities from the renewable energy for the Bahamian people. Left to the PLP to reduce the cost of living and reduce the cost of doing business, which will have a significant impact on GDP. This is a sad day for this Parliament, a sad day for the Bahamaland, and no doubt based on the news we heard, this is a sad day for this administration, a very sad one. I promise you, the Bahamian people are not pleased. Exuma Ragged Island won't vote to support higher light bills. Because in Exuma and Ragged Island, don't have confidence that the blackout's going to stop. The people of Exuma and Ragged Island don't have confidence that you will keep the lights on. We don't have confidence that you're going to drive the rates down. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, we're obliged not to support this. In the absence of a plan and the presence of the no confidence in this government. This is a sad day for the Bahamian people. A very, very sad day for the Bahamian people. And I do believe,
Exuma, I think you're going to wind up because your time is up
right now,
about a minute ago. Okay.
Right now, Mr. Speaker. But I got to say this. I do believe, on top of the 60% increase in VAT, on top of the billions you've borrowed, on top of this new tax on the Bahamian people,
in your view, Exuma?
I do believe this is your last straw. Last straw for this F&M administration, Mr. Speaker. Next PLP administration will lay out a cogent plan. And we will fix this. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Order, members, order. Before you said Exumas, you mentioned yes.
Tribune article.
And while you tabling this, let me note something while you tabling this. I'm not a fan of the practice that some members have in referring to the documents and then tabling it after their speech. Because if you're referring, and especially when you're mentioning a member in the House, that document should be tabled almost immediately so that it could be viewed by the members in case they have some issue with it. So just for the record, when, at least for me, when I'm in this seat, members, when you're going to table documents, you're going to table it immediately after making reference to it. because there may be something in the document that a member or someone else might take issue with, and after you sit and have read, it's already said and your speech is done. There's very little that can be done. So, Exuma, I'm not making this point. I'm sorry I'm making it while you're on your feet, because other members may make it. No, please. I'm making that point. And one more point while you're on your feet, members. I share the view of the Speaker. If you, whether you're on the government side or opposition side, if you view this particular bill as a tax, then you have to say it is in your opinion, because you share the view of the Speaker. It's not a tax. So if you're going to try and say that you believe it's a tax, say I believe it's a tax. The member for Exuma.
Mr. Speaker, I truly admire the diligence you bring to that rule. And I'm now laying the Tribune's article of November 24th, 2015. And I take your advice that it's good to do this at the time. But I just want to refresh your memories that this is the article where the member for Kalani said, I don't care if you call it a fee, whatever you call it.
Order of the document be brought up. Members, please. Order. Order that the document do.